Testing. Hate this thing. Hate it. Stupid. Oh, hey, we're live. My bad. Today I want to get into 5 what I'm calling turning points or inflection points, if you will, of the Division Series round, even though at the time of this recording, we have not seen the Mariners Tigers Game 5 or the Brewers Cubs Game 5. I will say though, at this moment, I am 6 for 6 in predicting winners of series. If I get the 2 tonight, which I have the Cubs and the Mariners going, we will know when I release this whether or not I was right, and it's gonna look really, really bad if I'm not. That is the way that it goes sometimes. So I think there were 5 main inflection points that have happened, at least in this division series, that I think are worth breaking down. I think show maybe bigger trends or are just interesting for a lot of reasons. And then we're gonna have a little bit of fun at the end of the video. That said, before we get off to the races, we still have the Substack, and we are still working very hard on bringing you additional content on the Substack. You can use the QR code and get a weekly newsletter that keeps you up to date on everything we are making here at Mayday Media. All right, let's begin with turning point number 1. Game 2, Phillies versus Dodgers. The wheel play, a bunt play that is fully kind of went out of the zeitgeist for defense in general for a couple of reasons, of which we're gonna talk about. So, that's not the right thing to push. Oops. In spring training, there's a lot of time where you are practicing defense like as an entire team. There's very little time to do this during the season because everyone's kind of off doing their own thing. The schedules are pretty staggered. It's important to focus mainly on your job. So you get a lot of this done in spring training, and then maybe you do it at the All-Star break and once or twice through the season just to refresh. One of those things is bunt plays. Bunt plays are a series of kind of scripted options for how you would like to handle getting an out on a bunt. Okay, these were much more common when pitchers were hitting a lot more because there were so many bunts happening, especially in the National League. Bunting in general has kind of gone away in baseball, but it's come back a little bit. It just isn't as important as it was 10, 15, 20 years ago. So even practicing this play, which was done not a ton then, really isn't being done at all. The one bunt play everyone has is called one. The pitcher is crashing, goes straight on, fields the ball if it comes to him, and makes the play that is usually at first base, the safe play. Then there's 2, which is like a pickoff play to keep the guy at second close. So you're trying to get a little cute, maybe get a pickoff. That's usually 2, something along those lines. And then there was always 3, or the wheel. The wheel job was to always get the guy at third base. This was the aggressive play. This was the everything has to go right or it doesn't usually work type of play. And it's kind of gone by the wayside until the other night when the Dodgers successfully pulled one off against the Phillies. The thing that's interesting about this is usually this is a coaching staff thing where they're like, hey, guys, we want to do the wheel. I know we haven't done it in about 3 years, but we're going to pull this thing off. But because the Dodgers have so much experience on that team, it was Mookie Betts, of all people, who was like, hey, I think this is a wheel play time because I think for sure they're going to bunt because they need 1 run right now. It was a 4-3 game. Things were getting a little bit hairy for Blake Trinan on the mound. Alex Vesey was just coming in, so it was a new pitcher. That's usually a good time to bunt as well. And Bryson Stott's coming up, who is good at bunting. Just made all the sense in the world. You don't want the lefty on lefty trying to swing away. You want to bunt that guy over, get the guy to third base so that a fly ball can score. So the matchups made sense, but we know Castellanos, who is on second and not getting pinch run for, because they're gonna have to pinch run for Harrison Bader if he gets on, isn't the fleetest of foot, so the stars kind of aligned for wheel play. So how this works is the third baseman crashes, which is Max Muncy, and he made the play perfectly. And the shortstop is to cover third and make the play there. Now the first baseman also crashes just in case the ball is bunted the other direction, with the second baseman crashing to first, because you still got to get the out. If you don't have the play, if you field it or it's not cleanly or whatever, you need to be able to get the out at first. So someone has to be there. A lot of moving pieces, but they all did this in real time while Vesia was warming up, which is so fascinating because this is not something that anyone prepares for, but also it's usually not done by the players themselves, and that is baseball. That was just delicious. Could Bryson Stott have done anything once he saw that the wheel was on? Nope. I mean, maybe show and slash, but like you're sacrifice bunting, you're doing something very specific. This isn't like you're bunting for a hit and it just got, blown up. It's, you have to get the bunt down. You can't just make that decision in the middle, because if you fly out or something, then you get a double play, then you really ruin the inning. So later in the series, more bad news for the Phillies. We got maybe the saddest photo on a baseball field I've ever seen. So this is Ryan Kerkering, hands on knees after he made that catastrophic error, overthrowing his catcher JT Realmuto at home on a comebacker to him with 2 outs in the bottom of the 11th inning with the bases loaded. Now you may be thinking, why would you throw home with the bases loaded and 2 outs? Well, panic. He literally just panicked. It's sad, and it makes me sad because I will be honest, during these PFP times, right? Because this is, again, throwing home, fielding and throwing home is another thing you don't really practice as a pitcher that much outside of spring training. You should be good at it. You throw to home like exclusively. But the thing is, it's about transfers, it's about being quick, and that is one thing pitchers are not good at. So where this broke down, where the decision changed in his head, because I know he thought, I'm throwing it to first, but then he didn't field it cleanly. And when that happens, your internal clock just goes all over the place. You're like, well, how much time do I have? Now we had Kim running from third, who is arguably the fastest player on the Dodgers, but you also have Pages running to first, who you can't see. Even if you don't know exactly how fast he is, you assume he's pretty fleet of foot. So instead of taking the chance of turning and throwing after you didn't field the ball cleanly, which is something that pitchers are aware of. When you don't field the ball cleanly, that's when your sights sometimes change. Tried to pick the closest option. And even if he threw a good throw, he still wouldn't have got him out. It didn't end up mattering because he had no grip on the ball. When you watch it slow-mo, like nothing. And you can just see the pain. In JT Realmuto's defense, he tried. You can see him here. He's telling him, throw it to first, throw it to first. He's trying to throw here. You see Kerkering looking at the ball. He does not have the ball in his hand yet. So this is where he's fumbling. This is where he's panicking. He is not looking at JT Realmuto. So I feel so bad for him because this was my nightmare. Throwing home and then turning and rolling a double play at second was my nightmare. It was once a game in Milwaukee where I just turned and yucked the ball into like left center because the guy covering wasn't the guy that I thought was going to cover. I thought the shortstop was going to cover and the second baseman was covering. So I looked for the shortstop. He wasn't there. So I tried to hold on the ball and just threw it into left center. That wasn't in the playoff game, and that didn't finish my team season, but I know how I felt then, and I can't imagine what he feels like now, especially with the nature of the fan base that he plays for. Let's just call it what it is, man. Philly fans are not too happy about that, and add insult to injury, the Flyers lost, and the Eagles lost. I feel for you guys too, but I feel for this guy more than anybody. All of that said, that's what happened on the play. All of that said, you got to make the play. We saw it the game before that, right? With Tommy Edman getting a routine ground ball to second base to end the game and hopping it to Freddie Freeman. He picked it up, he goes, ah, and it just like, right when it comes out of your hand, you're like, come on. And he just so happened to have a very good first baseman over there, make the scoop. That could have easily been just as glaring as this. Sometimes the easiest plays are the hardest when you're so amped up. As soon as you think about the thing, it becomes even harder. Turning point number 3. This gentleman, Roki Sasaki, again from that series, he is stepping up big time. He threw 3 scoreless innings in that same game to get them to the 11th. A guy who was getting made fun of for tearing up in his first big league start in a Dodgers uniform, feeling like he let everybody down. He wears his emotions on his sleeve, you can tell. And it is not remotely surprising that once they said, hey, go to the bullpen, throw your 4-seam fastball and throw your devil forkball splitter thingy and just throw as hard as you can. He just got 100 miles an hour again and is absolutely unhittable with that splitter. Like, this doesn't surprise me one bit. He might be a reliever. Like, that might be what he ends up being. I don't know. There's still hope. When a guy's this young, you want to give him as many chances as you can, but you never know. Aroldis Chapman had to do this too, and I'd say that worked out. So he's got a pitch that is not guaranteed anyone's ever going to figure it out. It's one of those pitches that may be nasty for the next 10 years. So this is great to see for him. I'm happy for him. The Dodgers need it more than anything. He has been great. For them to get a guy to do this in the playoffs is impressive, but let's not forget, not that he doesn't have any experience. The World Baseball Classic, he threw short stints there, and he had that nasty stuff against the best players in the world. So for Roki Sasaki to be able to rise to this occasion, not remotely surprising. Turning point number 4. It's really important to score first. The Chicago Cubs have scored first in the first 4 games of their NLDS. So in game 1, Michael Busch hit the solo shot to start the game off, and the Brewers responded in the bottom of the first. Then it happened again when they put up a 3 spot in the top of the first in Milwaukee, and then Andrew Vaughn tied that up off Imanaga to make it 3-3, erasing that deficit at all. It's so important. Scoring first is very important in the playoffs because it gets you that momentum first. It has been very impressive how they've been able to score every single first inning, and if you continue to do it, you will then put yourself in a position to win some games, which is turned out to be true. It's going to be very interesting if this trend continues in game 5. Cubs are going to be in a good position once again, and I have them moving on from this round. I had them before this. I'm glad it's going to game 5. Frankly, I don't think the greater baseball world loses either way. I think that either one of these teams is going to put up a really good series against the Dodgers, and it would be really fun to watch either one of them move on. My heart leans towards the Brewers a little bit because I never won one before, and I always love to see that. But my prediction was the Cubs because there's just something about this season and the way they're put together that just feels a little bit magical. I also thought that about the Red Sox halfway through the season, so, take it with a grain of salt. From our girl, Sarah Lang, teams that score first in the playoffs are 15-12. That's not crazy, but teams that out-homer their opponents, which the Cubs continuously do, are 15-3. That's important. And then turning point number 5, Aaron Judge. Hitting that home run off of Louis Varland was incredible. It was about a foot in, it was at 100 miles an hour, and he hit it off the handle. I've never seen anything like that, but there is nobody on the planet that is more equipped to hit a ball like that and hit it over the fence than Aaron Judge is. It's the one guy who can get to that. Now, one thing that is interesting is there's been 6 home runs hit on pitches 99 or harder in this year's playoffs. There was only 21 in the regular season. That is 1 every 4 games. That is a lot. It just goes to show you velocity doesn't play as much as it does in the regular season in the playoffs. Spin and break is more important than anything. We saw the Blue Jays then take the bullpen game into game 4 after this home run was hit, and they staggered that thing like crazy. Louis Varland started that one, was throwing 100. Then they brought in Fluharty. Yeah, I nailed it. He was throwing like low 90s lefty cutters. Then they brought in Sir Anthony Dominguez, high 90s again, righty. Then they brought in Lauer, low 90s lefty. And so they staggered it enough, and they gave him enough crazy looks because they have so many lefties they could deploy that they were able to pull that win off as well, and inevitably moving on. I just want to give a little bit of props to Aaron Judge and the big homer because it was impressive. I think it's a cherry on top of his season. The guy hit like 500 in the playoffs. He deserves some praise for how well he played and how big of a role he played. They just got beat. Sometimes you just get beat. It's just one of those tip of the cap. That was a quintessential Yankees off the foul pole, off a pitch he's not supposed to hit, playoff moment, and you gotta enjoy those things when they happen. Let's finish this video up with a little bit of fun. This is your tweet of the week, and it comes from one of the better baseball Twitter follows on the internet right now, and that is Brent Rooker. He says, "I can't wait until like 2050 when I get to sit around and tweet about how much better the game was back in my day. All while watching some 6'10" shortstop having at bat against a guy throwing 117 miles per hour sinkers with a splitter that somehow defies physics and freezes halfway to home plate." I will tell you one thing, Brent. It is nice to sit in front of a camera, sit on your couch, and just complain. I'll tell you what. Back in my day, in 2023, sweepers were new. All right. I want to play some sports connections. Shout out to Hank Green, one of the OGs on YouTube, for giving me this idea. 4 groups of 4. It looks like we got 4-seamers, so we have baseball in here. There's baseball involved. Apollo Antonono, I know who that is. He is a speed skater. A slant, 4-seamer, Shumpert, Super 8. Shumpert is a basketball player. Cheese. Okay, 4-seamer, gas, cheese, heat. These are all the fastest pitches. I just did the video on all the pitches, so I should get this. Cheese, heat, 4-seamer, gas. I feel like these are all descriptions of baseball pitches, though the 4-seamer is like the official term. The other ones are, I guess, like adjectives, if you will. But I do feel, it feels good about this. No, yes. Okay, fastball. So they're all related to fastballs. Okay, cool. Slant seems like okay, so slant, post, wheel. These are all plays receiver routes. Is it drag play? I think a drag is a play. I want to go Super G or drag. I think it's drag. I don't know what Super G is though. Drag. Boom. Okay, passing routes. Got it. Okay, so the next is going to be Olympic events. I think maybe Winter Olympic events. So it feels like downhill skiing, slalom, Yamaguchi. Yeah, I think this is Winter Olympics because I think Ono is Apollo Anton Ono. And Shumper, Super G, combined, and driver. I don't know what that is, man. I don't know. But these feel good to me. We're just gonna go for it. Is driver a last name? Okay, maybe slalom, downhill, combined, Super G, dude. Okay, Super G. Super G's got to be an event. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Alpine skiing disciplines. And then Shumpert, Yamaguchi, Ono, and driver are all athletes. That one Dancing with the Stars. I knew that. Not bad. We only had to use one. I don't know, whatever. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, guys. And just stay tuned and subscribe. See ya. Peace.